Yes, people of Reddit or YouTube, welcome to the air-roll video series. In this series, myself and my team of pros will be breaking down our system to learn air-roll. We'll basically be giving you step-by-step instructions for how to learn each of these adjustments, whether it's turning left and right, using tornado spins, reverse tornado spins, and everything in between. Today, I'm going to be covering air-roll left, turn right. So if you're watching this and you're an air-roll rider, go check out the air-roll right demos from Torment and Freaky. They're going to help you to start. Let's get into it. If you're new here, my name's Luke. I'm a peak Grand Champ 3 player. Been coaching for the last 5 years. Have coached hundreds of players to Grand Champ personally. And I'll be breaking down air-roll left because I've spent over 1,000 hours in rings and training packs learning this stuff. Let's talk about turning left and right. We're going to start with turning right with air-roll left because it's a little bit more intuitive. Then we'll get into turning left. Let's start in free play. Basic reminder. Whenever we're doing an air-roll adjustment, it's easy to think that where our car is facing is where we go. But that's not always true. What actually changes your direction is boost. This sounds trivial, but when we're in the air, we forget that if we're doing a spin that looks like this, but we're never boosting, we're going to keep flying forward, even if our nose does face to a certain direction for part of that spin. Might seem unimportant, but it is important. Let me show you why. Let's start with air-roll right as an adjustment. Refresher, if you watched the entire video breakdown, you'll remember that tornado spins are the foundation of air-roll. And so, when we're learning turning left and turning right, the recommended adjustment is this. For turn right, there are 3 ways you can turn right. You can turn right using up and to the right as the adjustment. You can turn right using up as the adjustment, and you can turn a little bit to the right using up and left as the adjustment. Notice all of them change our car position slightly right. The difference between each of these spins, up and right, straight up, and up and left, is the amount of forward momentum we will build, forward speed we'll build, how forward our nose is facing during that spin. So recall, tornado spins are kind of our foundation of air-roll when we hold air-roll left and push to the right on air-roll left. And that's why up and to the right is the easiest adjustment to learn at first. Why? Because you get that, because tornado spin gives you that sort of brake gas pedal in the air. When we go up and right, we get a little bit of a slowdown, and you'll notice, yes, we're moving forward, but we aren't flying at the right side of the field. Versus if I do up, I'll move a little bit faster. It's a little bit sharper of a turn. And if I do up and to the left on my joystick, I'll move the fastest. That's going to give me the biggest dip down. That's because this is incorporating the reverse tornado spin. Torment will break this down more in depth, or excuse me, Shock will break this more down in depth for air-roll left. Torment is doing this for air-roll right. Now that you understand that boost is what turns you, and you sort of have 3 options, let's start with the fundamental. That's going to be up and to the right. And reminder, you can pull up the cheat sheet on a second monitor if you need a refresher at any point for what these animations look like. Let's go into rings together, and we're going to start on slow-mo. If you're on console, you'll want to do these drills on the pillars map. You'll go into training, you'll go into custom training, you'll go into free play, and then you'll cycle through and find the pillars map. That's what you'll be running these drills on. Still good enough to turn left and right, but ideally, workshop maps are the most engaging. They're the most challenging. We're going to go to Lethamir's ice rings or Lethamir's lava rings. Same map, different texture. We're going to start with up and to the right. Let's break this down piece by piece. You'll notice that when I'm flying slightly forward, if I spin up and to the right and I pause halfway, I'm spinning slightly back. And that's because we get some of that tornado spin speed control, that sort of somewhat slow down. I'm going to do that again, but now I'm going to start from perfectly vertical. If I do the same up and to the right, now I'm facing quite far back. So it's important to remember that when we're using this up and right to the adjustment, up and right adjustment, that's sort of this modification of tornado spin, which just looks like this. We get a little bit of slowdown from tornado spin and a little bit of turn right motion. This is why it's the most useful on air dribbles, because you're going to use this motion to slow down, stay under the ball, and keep it balanced on your car. Much more rarely will we want to use this up left adjustment, because you see, when we do that, imagine the ball's falling off your nose. That's why we start with upright. You get that speed control, and notice our nose kind of nicely stays upright most of the spin. Now, the key to getting the max turn right adjustment, let's call it, while using this arrow left and up and to the right movement, is pausing and boosting when our car is facing right. So you'll notice, let me slow this down again. When we complete half of an upright adjustment, that's when we're getting the most back and rightward motion. Rightward, Squidward, we're going to rock with that. You get the idea. If you just complete a full spin and boost throughout it, yes, we're going to get a little bit of movement to the right, but this isn't a significant turn. And so recall, when you do a 360 adjustment with any air roll, you're going to return to the position you started. So it's useful, I find, to start with 180s. Let's do 180-degree spins through this section. And actually, let me skip this level and use editing magic to find you on the next one where we have to turn right more, because this is almost all turning left. All right, we're on a big turn right. So on this turn right, if all I do is hold down air roll and push up and to the right, I will turn right, yes, but I'm not going to get a 180-degree turn. I'm not going to turn around. I'm just going to keep doing the spin and move a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right. So instead, what we want to do is, starting from this neutral position, starting from this slightly tilted forward, I'm going to push up and to the right on my joystick and hold arrow left. I'm going to freeze. And now I'm traveling in this direction. If I did nothing, I would continue traveling up and to the right. You see how you can get a much more harsh turn. So we're basically doing half a spin, holding it until we feel good about it, and then when we're done and we want to get back on our line, we press up and to the right and arrow left again. This is what gives us precise control of how much we turn with just one adjustment. When you're starting, you're just going to want to practice this right adjustment. So you're turning right, you feel good about it, you roll over. Turn right halfway, you feel good about it, roll over. And what that's going to allow you to do, you can use your, whatever normal spins you use to move left. But when we want to turn right again, we go up and right, and we roll over. When we're done, we roll over again. Kind of looking at my second monitor here to make sure that the visuals are hopefully helpful. But you see kind of this up and right. I'm actually moving, quite a tornado spin. But that's the idea. Remember, first off, most important thing is where we're boosting when our car is facing a certain direction to go that direction. Second, we're looking where our nose is facing before we start an adjustment. Because if I start an adjustment from upside down and I use the turn right adjustment, I'm going left now, right? That's the whole point. So we use this sort of hood facing us as a starting point, but know that when you're in ranked and as you get better at this, you'll be able to use a turn right adjustment when your car is to the left. Now that's going to turn you back at your screen. When you're facing here, now a turn right adjustment is going to speed you up. You'll learn all these things, but for starters, we begin in the vertical, in the kind of wheels forward neutral position, and then we turn when we want to. We can fly, left using normal, and we can use turn right to get this way. Now, if you're smart, you'll notice, well, I could just wait till my car's like this, Luke, and then go up and right again, and now I turn left. And you're exactly right. That's a very useful way to, turn left, turn right, all from one adjustment. We're just here, and then we use turn right. Now we dodge the obstacle. So you see, my joystick only went up and right that entire rings run. You can move left and right. So that's the idea. You're going to start with slow-mo. You're going to do a 180-degree spin, one turn at a time, until you can progress to slow-mo. Continuous spinning. And when you're continuous spinning, the important thing to remember is that when our nose faces me, that's when I start my turn right adjustment if I want to get up here. When my nose is when my nose is facing me, that's when I start that turn right adjustment to get the sort of max turn right as I fail out. But you get the idea. If my hood is facing away from me and I do the turn right adjustment, guess what? Now we're flying to the left. So that's the concept. Once you feel good about it, we're going to move back to 100% speed. Cool? Cool. Now, we want to do that same motion, but instead of 50% speed, we have to be more mindful that our car is going to spin faster. It's going to pivot faster. And so we're still doing 180s now, but now we're just doing them on full speed. If you want to turn left, you roll over. If you want to turn right, we can time a half spin. Here we have to turn quite harsh, so we're turning a lot. Here I'm not going to use any air roll. Now I want to turn right again. Use up and to the right. And you'll see that gives me nice speed control and turn right movement. Here I'm going to roll upside down before I turn right. And you can see how just flying upside down before you turn right can now... I can pretty much get through this entire level. I look at my second monitor without using any fancy adjustments besides tornado spin and turn right. I can do this whole level with just tornado spin and turn right. Pretty interesting, right? You see my joystick's only going to the right every time. So we're going to feel, once we feel good about that, we're going to be continuous spinning. And then anytime we find a right turn, we can do right turns. Right turn. Right turn. Right turn. Now we have to do a left turn, so we have to wait till our nose is facing away. Right turn. And that's why it's a little confusing for beginners. That's why slow-mo is so helpful. But I recommend you just learn how to turn right. And we're going to use a different adjustment for turn left. I think it's more intuitive to always be starting your adjustments when your hood comes around. That makes sense? Having that consistent starting point is what's going to help you build your muscle memory faster. So that's kind of the idea with the turn right movements. Pretty interesting, right? I'd say so. Left? I don't know. My brain's breaking. I will see you in the turn left segment, and we'll meet back up in free play. Thanks for watching. I'll see you there. Slide wall.